Hi everybody, I'm speeding up this block in because on the last painting I showed you how I put the block in. So very quickly I just lay down a little bit of the color, more lavender than anything because I want to show the distance in these trees, and then I can put darker colors over the top of that and in front of that. So a little bit of blue going down because there's some water there that's going to be peeking between the trees. This is almost a swampy preserve. Lots and lots of trees and twigs, and you can barely see the water in some places, but there's a beautiful tree here that's filled with moss, and it's the most incredible color of green. And some pretty leaves that are shining through with just a peak of water here and there. And that's what I'm trying to capture, is the wild wonderfulness of this preserve. And also all the different greens that are in this painting. People consider green a very hard color to paint, but basically if you mix your greens with different yellows, mix your blues with different yellows, you can make different greens. And look carefully which one has a blue hue, which one has a yellow hue, and change them accordingly. Then you'll be happy with your greens. Okay, that was all done off of some dirty old paint that I had on here before. I haven't put down any new paint. This is just leftover paints. Now, we'll take this, let it tack up just a little bit, come back, start putting in the painting. Okay, I may just ignore this camera, and if it doesn't copy what I need it to, that's okay, because sometimes when I sit here trying to get out of the way of the camera, I don't do as good a job on my painting as I wish I did. So we'll see what happens as I film this. I'll check it now and then, and hopefully I'll catch as much of it as possible. Okay, let's get ready. Here's my palette. I've got every color here, red, yellow, green, a couple of different greens. Usually I use my yellow and my blues to make my greens, but I also have some greens if I need them as a backup. I've got purple to darken my green if I need to. I've got red to darken my green to another shade if I need to. And I've also got burnt sienna, which is going to help me with the tree color for part of it, but part of this tree is very green, and that's what. So we lay down a very faded green in the background just to get a base. Water's going to go here, and there's going to be a little bit of white reflection from clouds and blue reflection from the sky. Sometimes it's hard to tell where your block end stops and your painting begins. But this is actually part of the painting phase. I'm planning out the things that I know I'm going to need. I'm using little choppy strokes because I know that I'm going to have lots of leaves back here. I don't need a completely flat look. Staggering the brush a little bit like that helps to make the texture on the tree or on the side of a barn. This tree has lights and darks and so many different things. It takes me a while until I'm satisfied with the color that I make it. But again, layer on top of layer. To me, that is the main focal point of this painting right there. The light on that tree on the bottom of the moss, along with the lighter leaves that are kind of cascading across the middle of the painting. So basically, I'm following the light, and that's always my focal point, the effect of the light on my painting. These trees have the most interesting shapes, and I think the fat tree on the right with the moss complements the skinny tree on the left. They're leaning into each other, which makes the painting design very attractive, and design in a painting is very important. So that's what you're doing in this middle phase. You've decided how you wanted to arrange your painting in your block-in, and now you're coming in and you're reinforcing that block-in. You're deciding if you made the right decisions about where you wanted to place things. You're deciding where your darks and your lights are. You're correcting mistakes if you didn't do the block-in well. You're stepping back over and over to decide whether or not this is coming the way you want it. Maybe you take some photos of it and look at the photos. Step away, go eat dinner, come back, whatever you have to do to gain perspective. Maybe you think it looks really terrible and it's never going to turn into a painting, and that's perfectly normal at this point to feel that way. But do not quit. And do not tell yourself that your painting is terrible. It's not fair to you, it's not fair to the painting. Give it a fair chance. When you hear yourself saying, "I can't do this," stop yourself immediately. You will be so surprised what positive thinking will do for your painting. And I guess that's a lesson in life itself. So I keep looking at my photo and finding where the darks are and putting them in. I want to get those little trees in the back. They're lighter and of course thinner because they're farther back. I want you to understand there's branches everywhere. There's millions of trees in this forest. It's 8,500 acres of beautiful wetlands and cypress trees and every kind of species imaginable. All kinds of animals. In some cases, you have no idea if you're looking at a reflection or a branch or what you're looking at. Start to put a little texture in here to simulate some of the leaves. This is quite a process, trying to decide where to put what leaf. In many cases, the leaves get darker as they come forward, but there's also the possibility that you might have a lot of little light ones being hit by the sun. So it's best to try to cluster them a little bit together, like a little pile of darker ones, a little pile of blue-green ones, another little pile of more yellow ones. And yes, you're going to put some scattered all throughout, but if you kind of put your greens in different sections, it shows better. Like the species of this tree is more of a blue-green, and the species of this tree is more of a yellow-green. It makes more sense in your painting. Sometimes the leaves are being hit with light from above and they look almost white. And if the light is shining through them, you'll see more yellow. So a white, blue, green is a natural reflection for a leaf that's being struck by light from above. This tree had some very unusual little white dots on it. Some of these trees were so unique. Pink trees were out here with, I don't know, I guess it could have been pink bark, but it could have just as easily been some sort of pink fungus that grows on the trees. I could spend all day showing you photos of this place, but it would be more like a nature video instead of a painting video. We saw deer and tortoise, alligators, all kinds of species of birds. So the bark on this tree had some light spots on it. The whole bottom of this tree was covered in this moss, and then on top of that it had green leaves sort of growing right out of the tree, like maybe a vine was climbing up the tree. So this is all my middle stage of painting, where I'm getting in the basic shapes of the trees. And the basic colors of the painting. So here we go with some of the lighter leaves in the back. All through here. This is going to have my lightest colors, except for, let me mix this a little. Mixing and talking don't work well for me. Except for, and even in here, and up here, because there's a light going right through this whole thing here. And here, and here, and I may have to come back and do that over and over again. It doesn't really matter, but I want it to be known that the light is shining there and coming through here. And then you'll see when I put in the leaves down here that it's coming through here as well. There's a plant that I will put in here. And I'll do a better job of it, but just so that I know it's there. And several down here. And over here. So there's some plants down here that are going to shine a little bit. This in here is just going to have lots of reflection and dark, but this up here is going to be a nice light spot. And there'll be nice chunky paint. Bit up here too. And of course I'm going to put some darker stuff in here, and then I'll hit that with some light too. I don't want to go all light just yet, because you know, you could do the light first and then the dark, or the dark first and then the light. So pretty much the middle phase of this painting is done now, and I will now move on to the detail that I'm not going to show you today, but I'll show you that in another painting. Hope you enjoyed this part of the painting. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope I've captured the light shining across the back leaves of the trees and right across the front of the bottom of that tree there. Just trying to grab the light as it's coming across the forest. So I've showed you how I block in a painting and the middle phase on the painting. So the next time I will try to show you how I complete the painting, how I got it from that phase to this phase. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. I will catch you next time. And remember, you can paint too.